Welcome to the Watchtower, where me and my friend Joe, Now you've made me self-conscious and you made me think about what I'm gonna say.
Oh no.
Welcome to the Watchtower, where me and Joe recap every episode of the Justice League animated series, and eventually the Justice League Unlimited series. Today we are recapping the 2001 episodes 4 and 5 in Blackest Night. Joe, we're going to disagree in this episode.
We probably are.
But
I didn't like this episode that much, but
that's
episode.
Fine. We can converse in a civil manner, and I can come to the end and convince you why you're wrong.
Oh, got
so,
it.
Go for it.
Okay, so part 1 of in Blackest Night.
Mm-hmm.
We get a cool little intro scene, which I do like. I like the intro scene with Jon Stewart, where it's like he's just walking around, looking all thuggish and ruggish and whatnot, and then the real thugs
to the sexy porno music.
Yeah. That's so true. And then, like, the real thugs appear, and he just doesn't care that, like, people can see him using his ring power. But you know what? It doesn't matter, because he's Jon Stewart.
Yeah.
Not the Jon Stewart I love with the beard, but he's Jon Stewart.
Well, I think the idea is that I think most Green Lanterns people know their identities.
Well, they're also aliens, most of them.
That's true, but I think because it's like a police force, their identity.
They don't. I assume he's still trying to have some sort of cover, but he just does it. Yeah, I like that interesting. It's
I like him going back to his roots. It makes him seem like a more human.
Also, before the series, we didn't even know who he was, right? He didn't show up in any of the other things, did he?
I think he did, but I'm not sure.
Maybe.
I will go Google that.
Google that right now. But we get that cool little intro scene, and I like that. And then, is that when the Manhunters come down? Like immediately after that?
Well, first off, the very first thing we get is the courtroom scene.
Oh, we do.
And they're talking about how like all these alien races, which the alien races in this, they're super cool. Watching the background characters, I
like how they're all different.
They're like
also not all human looking.
Exactly. And they're all like, never has so many races and species come together, but they're to pass judgment. But also, there hasn't been such a heinous crime ever in the galaxy. Where it's accused, and like, he didn't show up, and they're like, get the Manhunters, and the Manhunters come out, and they're these cool robot things.
No man escapes the Manhunters.
And they're like, show us the accused, and it's like, and they pop up a picture of Jon Stewart, and then there's the intro, and then it cuts.
Oh, okay, I completely forgot about that part.
And then it cuts to the Watchtower, and we see Flash flirting with Hawkgirl, and she's having none of that.
Well, is there a Hawk Boy?
Well, she's in her I'm mean and brute force stage.
Yes,
where that's all I am.
Which also what I like about is that this is the episode where we find out she was a cop, which is interesting because both the Manhunters and the Green Lanterns are a cop. And so I think that makes an interesting parallel, especially how she acts later. But then they see the Manhunters, and they're like, we're going to go down and stop these guys because they're aliens, and aliens are bad.
Bad. And so the Manhunters go down, we're like, we're going to get you, Jon Stewart. Then Justice League shows up, and we're like, we're going to stop you, Manhunters. And then Jon Stewart's like, no, let them take me. I am guilty. He, like, knew ahead of time.
Yeah, I think he knew...
He knew it was coming. He just knew it was coming.
Which is why he went back to his neighborhood.
Oh, he was giving one last, like, the somber. This is where it ends. But yeah, he does. They take him away to. Do they take him? What planet do they take him to? It's not.
It's something 5. It's like I want to say Yaven, but that's Star Wars.
Yaven 4 lies in the outer rim in the Yaven system and is a jungle planet and the 4th moon in orbit around the gas giant Yaven.
It's the courtroom planet, where the planet is the courtroom.
There's also a little bit in when the Justice League are flying down to Earth that I like, where they talk about how Wonder Woman is on another case, Superman's helping with an earthquake, and Batman is busy. And that's all he would say.
Yeah, Batman's just busy. But then they all show up.
No, only Superman shows up.
Oh,
and what I like about this is this establishes that not every character is going to be in the series because they're off doing other things. And I like Superman's response. They're like, weren't you helping with the earthquake? And he's like, oh, it's only a 4.0. It's fine. And Superman comes in. I've seen this episode. These Manhunters they're just destroying.
Oh, they're wrecking the place.
They're destroying everybody. And then Superman comes in and he's just like, he kind of turns the tide in. I like how it shows that Superman is... He also gets beat up in the fight, though.
He also gets beat up in the fight.
Yeah, it does show that he can get beat up. But if you watch it like Martian Manhunter, I can't just say Manhunter now. Martian Manhunter, Flash, and Hawkgirl are just getting destroyed in this fight. And then Superman comes in, and it's not easy for him, but he does turn the tide. He turns the tide.
And then they say he says he's guilty, and they take him to the planet, and that's the end of part 1, right? We don't get much in part 1.
No, they go to the planet, and you find out why he's on trial.
Oh, the planet thing.
It's that apparently his ring bounced off the ship of a spaceship and hit.
He was being a police
and blew up a planet.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, allegedly. And he's like, guys, I did this. I'm guilty. And they're like,
I'm accepting it.
And they're like, shut up! No, you're not, because we have like 2 more seasons left.
Yeah.
So, also, Green Lantern did show up in the comics first, and I can't find a date on here, but it looks like an old comic.
Wait, what are you talking about?
You asked if John Stewart was introduced.
No. To the Bruce Timm verse.
Oh no, yeah, we hadn't seen him before.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I knew he showed up in the comics.
Okay. And then we go to part 2.
In Blackest Night.
In Blackest Night, part 2. And Superman and Martian Manhunter go to the moon of the planet that was destroyed.
Allegedly.
And they're like, how is this moon still
orbiting?
In orbit? Which I really like that detail. That's a really smart detail. And so they go to investigate. Hawkgirl goes to the other
bar.
Green Lanterns who are there.
His team.
Yeah. And which has my second favorite Green Lantern, Kilowog.
The Ball Man.
Oh no, the Ball Man. I like the Ball Man. He's pretty cool.
Who's Kilowog?
He's I'll pull up a picture. He's like the one who's supportive of...
Is he the big dude?
Yeah, the big dude.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Kilowog.
Okay, he's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love him.
He's like a pig man.
Yeah. And she's like, you guys suck.
Why aren't you at the trial?
We couldn't stand it anymore.
John Stewart's made us all look bad.
You're not being loyal. And they're like...
He disgraced the Green Lantern
name. Ball Man's all upset, and then they start fighting, and Kilowog's just sitting there drinking the whole time, which I like.
Well, the Green Lanterns are also losing the fight.
And then...
Like, pretty badly.
Oh, yeah. Because Hawkgirl's awesome, and I love... There's a lot of small character stuff with her where her whole personality is just like, I'm gonna smash things. Yeah. Like, there's a part where they're having a fight and, like, it's Superman, her, and Martian Manhunter, and they're like, Martian Manhunter and Superman are, like, peacefully taking out the people they're fighting, and she's just smashing things, and Superman's like, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm fighting.
I'm not hurting them, technically.
But then, and Flash is being Green Lantern's attorney in court.
Oh my god, making O.J. Simpson references?
If the ring wasn't lit, you must have quit.
What I like about this is there's some good comedy in here, like the jury, or the judges are talking about how, like, we haven't had lawyers in a long time. We solved that problem. And they're like, how? And like, we killed them.
Oh, yeah.
And so he's doing that. And so basically he's stalling, and... Did you find him all that humorous in this episode?
I didn't find him annoying, so there's that. I wouldn't say he was like all that funny. He was being Wally West Flash.
Yeah,
which is like I'm fine with. But I wouldn't. What they were trying to do with him wasn't working. But he wasn't like annoying me. So they succeeded in that matter.
The one joke I really like in this is
I like if the ring doesn't acquit. Isn't lit. You must acquit.
I like, there's a part where, like, everybody leaves the javelin and they go to, like, fly and fight people, and they're like, Flash, fly the javelin, and he's like, sure, tell me to fly the javelin without telling me how to fly the javelin, and he has to figure out how to, like, not make it crash.
Flash, take the controls. But does anyone ask if I know how?
It's been a while since I've seen the series, but yeah, his humor didn't quite land for me a lot of the times. I didn't like the O.J. Simpson reference.
Really?
I thought that was stupid.
It's weird. No, I thought when I heard it, I was like, this is weird, but I like it. Just because it's so absurd.
Michael Rosenbaum's doing a great job with the voice and the delivery, but I don't know, the humor didn't really strike me a lot.
Okay, it's been a few years, probably not as long as you, since I've seen the show. But like he's off and on funny, like when his comedy actually lands. But I've never found him extremely annoying. So he does succeed in that matter.
And so then Superman and Martian Manhunter find out that there's just like a projection of projecting the rubble of the planet, and the planet's still there. And you find out the whole reason this whole thing was happening.
Those gosh darn manhunters and their hunting of man.
The manhunters were the original Green Lanterns. The Guardians made them first, and then they were like, oh, these guys kind of suck at their job. They're
robots, so they don't have good judgment.
Yeah, we're gonna kind of just get rid of them. And so the manhunters are pissed off, so they want to destroy the credibility of the Green Lanterns, make the Green Lanterns mad at each other, and then draw the Guardians away from Oa, because the Guardians have come to.
They're trying to kill Were they trying to kill the Guardians?
They want the power of the main lantern on Oa. So they go to attack Oa, and there's a pretty fun fight scene on Oa between the Manhunters,
Justice League,
the Justice League,
and the Lanterns,
and the small Green Lantern team we have, and it's a pretty fun fight.
You can see a bunch of Green Lanterns in action, and Green Lanterns have the coolest power.
Oh yeah, Green Lanterns are so cool.
And they don't do anything with it, which is sad, but like...
We get this cool fight in the main Manhunter, who's voiced, I looked up, it's by a guy named James Remar, and he's I really like his voice. I think he does a good job.
It's just a robot voice to me. Not like digital robot, but like it's just like I am a motionless robot.
See, he has a little bit of emotion in there, and there's this interesting thing about the Manhunters where they say they have no emotion, but they clearly do.
Yeah, they're jealous and whatnot.
And I think that's reflected in his voice. But he has a small fight with John Stewart, then he walks into the main power cell, and he turns into this giant, really cool monster. Yeah. And then John Stewart has my favorite part of the episode. Because I forgot if he said the Green Lantern pledge or not.
He did say it.
And he says it, and he powers up his ring, and he like just completely destroys this guy. And it's so cool.
It's pretty cool.
Hearing this guy, what's the voice actor's name?
Phil Lamar.
Phil Lamar.
Man, I don't even have an opinion.
Hearing him say it is just, he has just the coolest voice, and then he destroys it. And I love the Green Lanterns. So that
Green Lantern's pretty cool. They're very really underused, but
cool, like, satisfying part.
I like the second episode a lot more. That first episode, though, the part one,
it dragged a little.
It dragged just a little bit. Well, it dragged, and it was also super fast. If that fight. The fight kind of drags, but then it's also that's all we did.
Yeah, it's a lot of setup and then no payoff.
Well, no, there's payoff. That fight's pretty... Oh, you're talking about in part one.
Yeah,
part one. Okay, I was like, part two is plenty good payoff.
Oh, yeah. I really like this episode. I think there's an interesting...
I like part two a lot.
I think there's some interesting ideas about, like, what justice and, like, policing and stuff. That's where you see that with the difference between how the court system works, and then the difference between
Manhunters
and the Green Lanterns, and then even I think you get a little bit with Hawkgirl, because like you get a little bit of, is she fighting responsibly or not, which is very slight, but I don't want them to focus on that because it's not the focus of the episode.
Yeah,
but it's there and it reinforces the
focus
theme.
Is we're getting to know John Stewart,
which is another thing. This sets up the friendship between John Stewart and Flash.
Got your back.
Because Flash he's with John Stewart in the courtroom trying to
help him.
And
the only one.
Also, John Stewart has a really good line that really he's talking about, we have this much power, we have to be held accountable. I really like that line, and it kind of made me think of all the superhero movies we're getting out.
Where they destroy cities.
Yeah, it's like Batman vs. Superman and Civil War, all about like the conflict of superheroes, and they keep it really simple here, and I like that. But I think this was a really solid episode, and I enjoyed it a lot. I think it's it's a lot better than the first
episode. First three? Yeah, first three were a little bit rough.
Also,
I mean, it's pilot, so.
Also, Kurtwood Smith voices the prosecutor, and he is Red Foreman on That 70s Show. I don't watch That 70s Show,
there's your trivia tidbit.
What did you do?
Any last statements on this episode?
It definitely sets the tone of the show a little more better than the pilot did. Pilot made it seem a little more nitty-gritty.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, it's still the start of the series, so I'm not expecting it to be on par when I came in. So I'm excited to see where it goes. Still being my first viewing of the first season.
Did you like the kind of cover-up that was going on with like how they were framing Green Lantern?
I mean, I feel like I'd seen that in something else. It was probably more recent. I probably did it first.
Oh my God!
It was better than Secret Origins.
Yeah, it's more of a cohesive.
Yeah, it flows much better.
The two episodes actually do operate as episodes. Like, the first one's kind of boring, but at least it operates as an episode.
There's a cliffhanger, but it's cohesive.
Mm-hmm. It's a little confusing, the Manhunters being in this, because...
We really don't know who they are at this point. And also, we know Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. It's because Manhunters, but what about Martian Manhunter and blah, blah, blah.
It can't be.
Our next episode is going to be... nope, that's Blackest Night Part 2. It's going to be The Enemy Below.
And Blackest Night Part 3.
The Enemy Below, which is an Aquaman episode.
Yeah, I like Aquaman in this a lot.
Aquaman's cool.
Aquaman's cool.
And Kevin Conroy's coming back.
Yay!
Batman has a really cool scene in this part, in this one. So overall, what are your overall thoughts on the Justice League cartoon? If Lil Joe, we're time traveling back. Lil Joe's playing on his NES, and then this show comes on. He's like, "Should I?" And
you make me sound like I'm in the '80s right now. Go with GameCube. That's more era. That's more era.
I looked and I saw his NES. That's why I said it. He's GameCube and the show comes on. Would you be intrigued?
Would I put down my GameCube?
And moreover, if you were watching this show now, would you be intrigued enough to watch it? Not having seen Justice League Unlimited.
At this point, it still needs a little more.
Okay.
It's getting there.
Would you wait? Would you give it a couple more
episodes?
Yeah. And do you think part of the reason, obviously, we love Kevin Conroy as well?
Yeah, he's good.
And I don't want to make it just sound like if Batman is in an episode, you won't like it. But do you think that maybe if you would have enjoyed this more if Batman was in it?
No.
Okay.
It was that first episode that kind of just like held it down a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Which I get.
I feel so. It was good, and with my knowledge of the DC verse. It makes sense, but they are throwing a lot at you for just the second episode.
What I like about the show is they never like try to really explain things.
That's true.
Which
they assume their audience is smart enough to follow along.
Yeah.
There's not too much exposition. Now let's go.
And also, why is the court system on this planet so similar to our court system?
Dun dun dun.
I don't know.
America is Thanagar 5, not Thanagar.
Yaven,
yeah.
Some 5,000 years before the Battle of Yaven, an ancient warrior race called the Massassi built the Great Temple of Massassi.
You're going back to the DC.
I know.
we're doing Star Wars.
Sorry.
So next time we will get into The Enemy Below.
First you sink a nuclear submarine, and then you threaten us to make peace. Who gave you the right?
So, Joe, see you next time. If you like the video, like the video. If you like me, subscribe. And as always, rock on.
You're a disgrace to the Corps.